Welcome to our module on how do we make better standards, all about testing and interoperability. In our modern world, we are surrounded by complex technologies, and as end users, it's incredibly frustrating when things don't work together. Tech standards are aimed at solving this problem by allowing devices from multiple suppliers to work seamlessly. However, having a standard on its own is often not quite enough. For over 30 years, ETSI have been writing these standards, and over that time, we've ensured that interoperability is at the core of all the standards that we write. Everybody benefits when technologies work seamlessly together. The end user is happy as they have a choice of devices from multiple manufacturers. The manufacturers benefit from increased market size, and when done correctly, standardization enables interoperability so we can have a multi-vendor, multi-network and multi-service environment. This is built into the entire process right from the very beginning and not something that's just bolted on at the end. So, is a high quality standard on its own enough? As we will see, when they are created alongside validation and testing, the answer is yes. The tried and tested ETSI model incorporates three best practices. At specification level, that is when we write the standard, we will be looking to see the application of good standards, engineering guidelines and techniques. At validation, when we try and verify that the standard actually does the right thing, well, peer review is very good, but also interoperability events, where we bring different vendors together and verify they can actually interoperate when they build their equipment to the standard. And of course, then when it comes to testing, we want to develop standardized test specifications for the key technologies. Within ETSI, there are two forms of support for interoperability. First, we have the Technical Committee on Methods for Testing and Specification. We call that MTS. This is the committee that writes the standards for the frameworks, methodologies, and languages. So as we will see, this is where TTCN3 and TDL are specified. We also have the Centre for Testing and Interoperability, CTI. This directly supports the ETSI technical bodies. The experts here can be attached to specification groups and they provide hands-on assistance. They are some of the world's leading experts in the field of testing. The Centre for Testing and Interoperability focuses on 5 areas. They are protocol design, test specification, interoperability events, validation activities, and training of best practices and methodology. For the protocol design and specification, we use best practices with a 3-stage approach. By using a variety of different methodologies and languages, such as UML modeling, message sequence charts, ASN.1, and XML, the protocol can be designed around the most effective description language. Test specifications require a skill in their own right. The delegates need to extract the requirements, create the test purpose, test description, and the executable test suite developed in a test language such as TTCN3 or using the robot framework. Interoperability events are used in order to validate both the core and test specifications. CTI provide the organization, technical logistics, website, press registration, non-disclosure agreements, and all the various platforms and equipment needed to perform the testing. The validation of the standard itself. Here, the team of experts review the standards and, when appropriate, use simulation and modeling, and also look at the interoperability event results. And finally, training to ensure that the standards delegates are made aware of the best practices in writing the technology specifications. There is training available around the methodology, the languages, and the implementation issues. As we've seen throughout the master tech standardization modules, there is always a fine line to make sure that we specify the minimum requirements to ensure interoperability while leaving room for product differentiation. One method of ensuring this is to make sure we have unambiguous protocol specifications. ETSI has a set of naming conventions and editing rules to ensure that testability can be built into the protocols. In recent years, open source software techniques are also starting to be used to make this process more efficient. More details are available in the open source in ETSI video. Even with all this training and a whole set of strict guidelines around how standards should be written, errors sometimes do creep in. This is why we require validation. This provides an opportunity to correct errors in a controlled manner, hence ensuring we have a higher chance of interoperability between the products. This gives the manufacturers and the operators confidence to implement and go to market. One of the most successful methods that ETSI use are plug test events. Here, both ETSI members and non-members can get together in order to test and validate the standard using real products that implement the standard being validated. Sometimes the equipment is in the early development stage. The aim is to validate the standard and to feed back any changes required to the relevant technical bodies. This feedback process has been extremely useful over the years. The main advantage for vendors is that not only do they get to test and debug their own products, but they're also tested with other manufacturers. It's been shown that in a one-week event, many manufacturers have achieved much more than they'll be able to do on their own over many months. It also promotes both technology and community with the development of new ideas and confirming existing ones. Different technologies often require a different number of testing events. Sometimes this may be 1 or 2, and in some cases many more. After each of these testing events, the feedback is given to the technical committee, who can then improve the specifications, which in turn improves the maturity of the standard. The traditional plug test environment can be seen in this picture, hosted in a large hall with infrastructure to connect the devices from different manufacturers together. Here, the teams can work together to perform the testing that has been pre-agreed. Of course, not all events are suitable to be held indoors. Over the years, there have been many car-to-car communication events. Luckily, most have not been in the rain. If you'd like to learn more about how ETSI run plug tests, or find out about writing high quality standards, or how the whole interoperability testing program works, you can find a set of links in the slide here. There's also a lot more information on the ETSI website. Well, this concludes our introduction to testing and interoperability. Hopefully we'll see you at one of our plug test events in the future. Thank you and goodbye.